Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is September 2nd and it's Wealth Wednesday. We've got a fantastic trainer with us today and I'm so excited for what he has to share with us. Daine does such a great job at sharing with us what's working for him, what he's doing in his business, both with real estate and with marketing and how they really go hand in hand. Daine has a really cool story. He was working two jobs before Renatus. He was working both as a roofer as well as for Apple. And typically when you're working for Apple, you're out on the sales floor and you're talking to customers. But Daine was actually not the best at talking to people. And so they actually had him in the back counting cell phones. And what I love about that story is just, you see Daine today and he says he's still a little shy, but I do think that he has just come so far from where he was when he was working back at those other two jobs and just has really blossomed. And it's just really inspiring. At the time, Daine was barely making ends meet and he knew he needed to make a change. He heard about real estate investing and he found Renatus. He watched his classes, he plugged right in, he was listening to his mentors and started to apply what he was learning. He used velocity banking to pay down debt and then used that as leverage to get himself into a duplex. With the duplex, he lived in one side, rented out the other side. Fast forward to today, Daine has now raised over $14 million from various investors to go towards different real estate transactions. And his secret to that is consistency and frequency. He has grown his team. He is recognized by our CEO, Bob Snyder, as a key leader, and he's also on the PIT team, which is the President's Advisory Council in training. So we are very fortunate to get to learn from Daine. Make sure you take notes. Good morning, Daine. How are you?
Good morning, Keely. Thank you so much. And good morning, everybody, Renatus Nation. Good morning, Scarlett, to you too, and all the people chiming in on the chat. Wealth Wednesday. I'm excited to be here again. So it's crazy. Like I don't know what's going on. I think the seasons are changing because it is like freezing in here. I got the heater on. I got the fireplace on. Usually it's like nice and warm already, but seasons are changing, I guess, and it looks like my camera's kind of like got some stuff on it or something like that. Here, can you see me a little better that way? But yeah, good morning. Let's do this. So if you already know what to do, then go ahead and start doing that. Chime in on the chat box. Let's hear how you guys are doing. Thank you, Chuck. But yeah, tell me, how many people have you been able to talk to, get to an event, have a one-on-one with, bring them to a house tour, all that good stuff? How many people? I'm a huge believer, for those new on the call, that all wealth is created through conversation. And you got to create those conversations or else you're not going to create any wealth. And so I'm a big believer in being accountable as well. And so I track how many conversations I have in real estate investing, that lead to Renatus every single week. And so last week, or in the last 7 days, actually, I did a little private house tour. And so I can't remember how many people we had there, but I had like probably somewhere in the vicinity of like 15 to 20 guests, something like that. And so just because I had a bunch of people all at the same time that were like, hey, I'm interested in real estate investing. I was like, cool, let's all go to an investment property and talk. Right. So, but yeah, let me know how many people, and we'll go through some love. I had some awesome stuff for you guys today, by the way. So, yeah, in fact, I want to share with you guys, my wife gave me permission. I want to share with you guys a conversation that my wife and I had like until 2 a.m. this morning. Very good conversation. But yeah, and I was like, you know what? All my people need to hear this on Wealth Wednesday morning. And she's like, will you keep my name anonymous? I said, sure. I won't tell them what your name is. But okay, so let's go ahead and give some love. Let's go into the chat here. Let's see. Congratulations, Chuck. First one had one. LaShawn had a goose egg. Deborah Brick had one intro. Let's see. Dustin, after several weeks of having fear to talk about, I had 3 conversations this week. Congratulations, Dustin. Let me look at this. After several weeks of having fear to talk about, I'm guessing Renatus, I have 3, or real estate, I have 3 conversations this week. That's where it all starts. In fact, I was watching, I've got a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 0-year-old in my house right now. And so we watch like little kiddie shows. And we were watching Octonauts last night right before bed. If you've ever seen it, you'll know it's awesome. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It's on Netflix. Octonauts. It's a little kid show. But the guy says to the penguin, or the little bear that says to the penguin, he says, in order to be brave, you must first have fear. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. This show is amazing. There's personal development in here. So anyway, first, in order to be brave, you must first have fear, right? Remember that. Anytime you need to do something. Rico had a goose egg. Oh man, don't worry. Just eat it. Eggs are good for you every once in a while. Eat it, get on with it. No worries. More will come. Esther had 3. Sherry Ashbury had a goose egg. Sherry Wallace had 1. Great job. Ooh, Isaac sounds like he had a sale. 1 profit. Congratulations, brother. Autumn had a conversation. Lisa, 1 intro this week. Scarlett had 1. Alvin had 5 leads on events, 2 one-on-ones. Congratulations, Logan. 4 intros, 1 one-on-one. Charlin had a real estate conversation that led to deals, or in the near future deals. Love it. Or led to deals in the near future. Congratulations. Bobby, buying essentials this Friday. Nice. Congratulations. 2 on a follow-up. 4 people being introduced. Congratulations. Kim had 4. Tyson Clay talked to 8. 6 to intro. 2 one-on-ones. 1 essentials. 1 separate IMA. Order 1 verbal commitment for extreme combo. Yes. Awesome. All right, let's talk about that really fast. 1 verbal commitment for an extreme combo. Do you know how to close a real estate deal as well? Notice that there's some symmetry here. When you make an offer on a real estate deal, usually it starts verbally, and then you say, oh, cool, let me write that up, right? How do you sell a combo? You get the verbal commitment. You say, oh, cool, let me write that up. Let's create your account, right? So like Keely was saying this morning, it's all the same to me. I mean, some people ask me, Dave, how do you manage real estate and marketing? It's it's all the same. I'll have a conversation with you, and if you are more suitable to be like, hey, you need Renatus in your life, then we're going to have that conversation. But if you're like, hey, I got a property I need to sell and I need help, and I'm gonna obviously I'm not gonna be like, well, you should buy Renatus and then I'll buy your house. No. I'll be like, cool, I'll buy your house. Here's how much I can pay for it, right? So, and it's the same. It's the same. You get the verbal commitment. You say, oh, let's write that up, right, on a computer, pull out a piece of paper. Did you guys know that Renatus you used to have to get all the paperwork stuff done with a pen? Like you actually printed off all the order forms and write on it with a pen, like a real pen that has ink in it. And that's how you would submit orders. Like, thank goodness for all the new stuff we got going. But let's see. Pete had 8 conversations. Dawn had 1. Noreen had a goose egg, honk honk. Now you guys, I hope you guys aren't doing that on purpose, having a goose egg just so you can say stuff. I'm just teasing. Bertha had a goose egg as well. All right. So somebody, you know who you are, or you will know who you are in just a moment. Come off of mute. I want to help. I want to help somebody. And I've got
I'll go first.
Sherry.
Good morning. So I
And
had one of my.
go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, go ahead.
So
Welcome.
one of my welcome. I mean, thank you. One of my guests from last Tuesday, I sent him a text follow up
Uh-huh.
because I called him and he didn't answer the phone, so I sent the text message when he didn't answer, and I let him know that I was calling to follow up and to get feedback on the intro that he attended. Hold on, let me tell you what the response was.
Okay.
Text message. Hold on a second. So I said, hi, Jason. It's Sherry with Epic Team Investors. That's what I named my Renatus team that I'm building. I
Okay.
saw that you attended the webinar on Tuesday night, and I wanted to get your thoughts and get you set up for the follow-up. The follow-up is where you get any questions you may have answered. His response was, no thanks. Once I saw that it was Renatus, I was out. I want absolutely nothing to do with that company. And I was stopped and I didn't know how to respond.
Ooh, I love
that. So should I have said, my initial thought was to say, that's unfortunate. Did you have a bad experience in the past? Can we talk about that? And can I provide some clarification on your experience? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
All right, here we go. I love this. Can you guys, I got to share my screen, huh? Share screen to Zoom, start broadcast, and the 3, 2, 1 countdown, and bam. Somebody give me a confirmation you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So here we go. Sherry said, now just to kind of draw out the process here, we've got the intrigue, we've got the intro, and then we go to things like one-on-ones / follow-ups, et cetera, okay? So what Sherry's telling me is she had somebody that she created intrigue with, right? This person would not have come to the intro if they were not intrigued first, right? And so, and Sherry, in fact, let me ask you this, just so I can get my bearings here. How did you get that person
He responded to
okay.
an ad on Eventbrite.
On Eventbrite. Okay.
And then I called him to confirm that he was still interested in attending, because that's something that I do as part of my process. And his voicemail said he was unavailable to send him a text message. So I sent him a text message saying, you responded, you registered for this event on Eventbrite. Are you still interested in attending? Reply, interested, if you're still interested in attending. And he said, interested. So then I said, oh, okay, I'll send you the webinar link for the Zoom. So all of our conversations were basically text, no real one-on-one, conversation like you and I are having right now.
Okay, so then he pops over on the webinar and probably ducked out, I don't know, maybe even less than halfway through. We're not entirely sure. Actually, do you know when he ducked out?
Well, the format
was it like right in the beginning?
No, because we don't say anything about Renatus. We talk about basic, levels of investing. Renatus is like the last 30, 45 minutes of the presentation.
Okay, so either he made it through and then they dropped Renatus and then he was out, or he recognized maybe like Scott Rowe or something like that. And so we're not sure. Maybe he made it to here, maybe he made it to here. But either way, he's out, right? And at least he was able to give you a little like, hey, I Renatus, I don't like the Renatus thing, as soon as he learned about that. So here's what I will typically do. Now, I'm going to start with this. Your close ratio on people like this is obviously very, very low, because like you said, there's probably a story. However, I have actually had somebody come back because of what I'm about to tell you. And it's probably only happened 2 times out of all the times that it's happened. But I at least was able to leave an impact on those people that I actually cared about them. Okay, so let me give that to you. When he responds, oh, as soon as I heard Renatus, I don't want to see this. I don't want to be a part of this. I want nothing to do with that company, whatever. I usually respond with something like this. Now, if I can get him on the phone, it's better. But if it's text message, it's less good. if that's a phrase, it's less good. But I'll say something like this. Let's see, how am I going to write this out? I'm just going to kind of like paraphrase it, right? I validate, right? So validate. So I'm going to say, man, I am so sorry. Man, sorry. Or I mean, I'm not going to say sorry yet, actually. I'm going to say, man, sounds like there's past stories. Sounds like there's some past story that you had a run-in, you had an experience, something with Renatus that either I need to apologize for. So apologize, right? Because I'm not going to say sorry yet. I'm going to say that it sounds like somebody needs to apologize for something, right? So man, sounds like there's some kind of a story. You validate it. And then you validate, and then you value their emotions. So validate, value, let me draw a line there. You validate them, then you value their emotions, and you say, sounds like somebody needs to apologize. What happened? Right? So then you inquire, what's going on? What happened? Tell me the story. And if you can get them to re-engage because you validated them and you showed that you value them, then sometimes they'll be like, hey, like this person like cares about me. Hey, this person like wants to, like this person wants to actually hear me out. And so they'll engage in conversation with you. And then from there, basically I'll have them tell me the story. So then they tell me the story, and then I will, of course, apologize and say, now I will do a Woody Woodward type of apology though, where I will typically say something like I am so sorry that that's what you got from it. That was obviously not our intention. Right? I love it. Like, I love saying it like this. Like, I am so sorry that happened to you. That was obviously not our intention. And then I would probably, okay, so again, we're talking, this is a gentleman, if I remember right, his story, apologize, and then based on what he says, right, his story is going to link my brain to either my story or one of our stories. My story or one of our stories. In other words, a Renata student that I know their story, and I'm going to tell that story to help him relate to maybe help him see like, hey, like he is just like us, or he is just like at least one of us. And then I would probably again ask for progression. And what I mean by ask for progression, I mean like, hey, you know, I'd go all the way back to the intrigue, because this is really like the only leverage that you have on him. And, you know, because of where your conversation has gone so far, you might not know this person. very well because you haven't been working with him very long. He created intrigue. He saw that it was Renatus, and then he ducked out. And so the only thing that you've got is that original intrigue. And so then I would probably say something like, if you guys have ever seen my presentation, I will do the 3, 2, 1 from Bob Snyder, where if they're or see, is it 1, 2, 3? I forget, but either way, they're either like, hey, I don't want this, or B, they're like, I think I like this, but I need more, right? I have questions. Or they're just like, shut up and sign me up now. Shut up and sign me up. Okay. And so obviously he's number 3. And so typically the thing I like to say to somebody that's like, hey, I've already decided that I don't want this. The thing I like to ask them is like, well, you, again, going back to this, he responded to your ad in Eventbrite. So you are going to have to use the same verbiage that you used in there that probably caught his attention, that probably created his intrigue. And so I would start asking him about him, right? Number 1, I would say, how long have you been interested in real estate? What have you tried? What have you tried so far, right? And then I wouldn't ask him questions like, so what was it about my ad that caught your attention? I would just make assumptions. I'd be like, so in my ad, I talk about this, right? And so I'm assuming that was the reason you were interested. And so then I would go to, I wouldn't say I would. Then I would go to, what's his goal, right? What is his goal in real estate based on the ad, because this is the only leverage you've got so far with that person. So based on your ad, the verbiage in your ad, I would go back to like, what's your goal, right? And I would probably lead to like, most likely your goal, like you don't see any relation with Renatus and your goal, probably because whoever the presenter is, what, again, back to the story, back to whatever his story was, you didn't see what you had hoped to see for whatever reason. He saw something that he didn't want to see, or sorry, it was either he did see something that he didn't like seeing, or he didn't see something that he hoped to see. Which was it, right? So let me write this down just so that makes sense. So it was either 1, he saw something but he didn't like it, or he didn't see something that he was looking for. Didn't see what he was looking for, right? And so what is it that you saw that you didn't like, or what is it that you didn't see that you were looking for, right? And you'll probably uncover this in his story when he tells you that, if it was one of the two. But then you can go back again. Now, as soon as he tells you what his goal is, you've got an extra set of leverage to help these people, right? And I'm using all these terms and tactics because I know for a fact, right? This is not my opinion. I know for a fact that Renatus gives people an advantage over anybody that wants to get into real estate or that wants to grow their real estate business. I know that for a fact. You know why? Because I have seen so freaking many stories. It's ridiculous. Like, nobody can come and tell me that Renatus is a scam. Nobody can tell me that Renatus doesn't work. Nobody can tell me. I've seen too much at this point. You know how? Because I freaking ask people. I want to hear their stories. When I go to nationals and I hear other people's stories, that's just one more story that I drop in the bucket. And because I've heard so darn many people's stories, and of course I have my own too, my bucket's overflowing at this point. That literally, and this is why I say, his story is most likely going to connect me to either my story or someone's story, because I've heard so dang many of them. And it's crazy. I say I've heard so dang many of them, but the funny thing is I really only need, like, I don't know, maybe 5 to 6 stories that I actually talk about on a daily basis. If I run into certain things, or if I run into certain objections, or if I run into whatever, certain goals, you really only need 5 or 6 different stories that relate to that person, right? And so yes, I have heard hundreds of stories. I don't have to remember all of them. I just know that they're there. But I have, chosen maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 different stories that come up to my head that are most prevalent that I could share, right? And based on his story or his goal, either one, I don't want to say I changed the story, but I will bring in a different perspective on a story, right? And so, like, for example, I've got one guy that bought 9 months ago. He did his first flip within like 5 or 6 months, something like that. And actually, he's probably been in a year by now. So because he just sold that first flip. And based on what I'm hearing in other people, I will bring his story up. And if it's something about confidence, if it's something about MLM, or if it's something about just straight up fear, if it's something about that it costs money to be a part of Renatus, I mean all these objections. And I hope one thing that you're picking up from the sound of my voice right now is that this stuff is just normal, right? Objections are just objections. It's not like, I almost would categorize an objection similarly to like an excuse. If you can hear that in my voice, I hope you guys are picking that up. But because my belief is so strong that Renatus works, these couple of stories, when I pull them out, I can pull out this aspect of the story, this aspect of the story, this aspect of the story, whatever, to relate it back to this person, right? And then come back to, right? So whatever it is that he did see that he didn't want to see, or that he didn't see that he did want it, that he's looking for, then I get all excited and be like, oh my gosh, OMG, you just didn't see that. And then I'll be like, I have someone that you need to meet. And then I would probably connect them to like a 3-way text, or if there is an event specifically going on that you want to connect them with, then great. But typically somebody like this, they want the one-on-one attention. So jump on a 3-way with someone that you know and trust. If you can, this is what I do. If you can pick somebody that you have that story, that you tell that story, be like, oh yeah, oh my gosh. In fact, I've got somebody that I want you to meet. The person that I was actually telling you about, that you caused them to come up into my mind when you were telling me about your story. I want to introduce you to that person, actually. And this, again, you already built the credibility for that person, whatever. Okay, so I hope this makes sense as a formula. I've actually never like taught this before, so you can probably kind of tell that I'm a little scatterbrained. But I hope this formula makes sense. If somebody goes south on you, you validate them, you value them, you get their story. If they'll talk to you, and you apologize in a way of like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry that happened to you. That was obviously not our intention. And then you tell a story and get back to what is it that you didn't see or that you did see that turned you off. Or you'll uncover that in their story. But then you'll say, oh my gosh, I have somebody that I want you to meet. Right? If they say I don't like Renatus, they don't know what they're saying. If they say they don't like Renatus, they don't know Renatus. All right, there's no argument there. If they don't like Renatus, it's because they don't know Renatus. Renatus has everything that everybody ever wants. Renatus has support. Renatus has people that care about you. Renatus has knowledge. Renatus has resources, or Renatus students, and connecting with students creates resources. You don't have to have resources to do real estate. You just need to be resourceful. And when you know people, that is what resourceful is all about, is connecting with people, right? Renatus has what they need. I guarantee it. They just didn't see it, or they chose not to. Now, I spent extra time on this, probably because somebody else needed to hear that too. Not because we should go and find all these people that have negative connotation to Renatus. I'll tell you right now, I out of all the people that this has happened to me on, I've closed 2 of them. Right? I'll tell you what though, the one person that I'm thinking of that I did this, where he was like, yeah, I'm not doing this, whatever. And I still got him by doing this. And he bought, and he purchased. When I did finally get him, like he really likes Renatus, right? He is gung ho. He was more ambitious than somebody who saw Renatus and was like, I'm doing this on the same day. Because it took him so much more effort to take the deep look into Renatus, that once he finally saw it, it meant a lot more to him. And so this one person that actually did come back and purchase because of this, has done several real estate deals, and he has brought in a handful of people into Renatus as well. And it's kind of funny because it seems like this person kind of attracts, because, you guys all know this, like attracts like. The person that just bought Renatus 2 weeks ago that I helped close, he was the same way. He walked into a Renatus meeting. In fact, he told me this yesterday. I was clueless that this had happened, but he's like, Daine, I was in your intro because some other person invited me to Renatus a year ago, and he's like, I walked out halfway through as soon as I learned it was Renatus. That this person just bought a full cash. Literally, he had to call his bank because the debit card was declined, because a $20,000 debit card transaction is not like normal for most people's banks. And so he had to call his bank back and say, hey, no, I am actually trying to swipe my debit card for 20. He had cash. And so this person came back and we met one-on-one, and he purchased his extreme combo. And one of his things about Renatus was, he's like, oh, freaking MLM. And he told me, I'm not doing the MLM of Renatus, right? And I know Renatus is not an MLM, just for anybody out there that is thinking like, Daine, don't call it an MLM. It's not an MLM. But if people associate you with an MLM, you're an MLM. And so we are an MLM by association because of how people think or look at us. And so it's one of those things that we have to validate and combat all the time. Yes, I agree, we are not an MLM. But anyway, I hear out of the words of this person's mouth last night that he actually wants to talk to people about Renatus now because he's sold, right? We got him in. So the steps after you do the follow-up is you get the verbal yes and you create their account. So you create their account, you find the funding, you unlock their classes, and then you help them pick through their curriculum like we shared with Mr. Tyson last week. You sit down, you help them with the curriculum, and you tell them with all intensity, you freaking get through your classes. Like if you want somebody to market for you, intensity. With all intensity, you watch classes, right? This is what you want people to start doing. With all intensity, you freaking watch those classes and you help your students. If somebody buys, right, all you people that commented in that you got an essential sale, go back and search Wealth Wednesday in the Facebook group, or go back and search Wealth Wednesday in our YouTube channel and listen to our conversation that we had last week. Those people that just bought, if you want to continue to be compensated for that sale, yeah, you close an essential sale, you're gonna make $1,000, or you got a commission value of $1,000. And paid up front or over time on billing, either way, you want that person to bust through those classes, because you know why? They're going to be inspired. When they bust through those classes, when they actually connect with Mark Kohler, with Brian Sump, with, in my new students situation with John Dessauer, they're going to be inspired. And they're going to be like, holy shit, would you look at this? This is freaking amazing. And so out of the words of the man's mouth just yesterday, came to an intro, backed out, said no, finally came back, finished the intro. Now that, again, because he did see something and he didn't like it. And I was like, oh, well, right? You just didn't see this, right? Somebody thought that you wanted to see this, but you needed to see this, and that's fine. You know, my apologies. Let me show you what you're looking for. And all the way, he's been busting through those classes to the very point where he told me yesterday, he's like, hey, dude, I'm actually going to sit down with one of my best friends, and I'm going to bust out and show him what I'm learning. And if this person says, hey, I need to do this too, he's like, I'm gonna need you to help me. Close this guy. And I said, you betcha, that's what I'm here for. Right? So I hope this is helping, guys. Let me check comments. And I'm like standing up and pacing back and forth. I hope that helps Sherry.
Daine? Absolutely,
comment.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hi, Daine.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Great. Oh, well, I'm still struggling, and I'm having to move. But anyway, we have, in this area, we had somebody who gave Renatus a really big black eye. As a matter of fact, I was at a hard money lender. I was flipping a house and I had run out of money and had to borrow some. And I was all excited about this real estate investors meeting I was going to. And they said, if it's so-and-so, you know, run for the hills. And I mean, so it's not just the lenders, it's
Mm.
all these real estate people, investors and realtors. And I mean,
And they didn't say Renatus. They said somebody who is in Renatus. Is that right?
yeah, but it gave Renatus a big black eye because they
Yeah.
all associate Renatus with this person. And
Yeah.
so I would really love to turn that around.
Hmm. Yeah. Now,
I don't know if he's kicked out or not, but he was doing some really unethical things. And
yeah, it
his
happens.
are,
It happens. Renatus, and here's how I see it. I mean, I'm not going to say Renatus is perfect, but it's Renatus is exactly what it needs to be.
I agree.
So if you want to convert that to perfect, great. Problem is, all of us as students learning, we're not, right? We're learning, and so and some people, it's not going to change those people, right? And so really, like, and now again, I spent a lot of time on helping Sherry with that person who was negative and trying to turn that person positive.
Mm-hmm.
It is tough to do. And so one thing I want to make sure everybody understands is don't waste energy going for people like this. Don't waste energy attracting people like this to you. Because I promise you this, and this is the one thing I want everybody to take away from what I'm sharing. I promise you that if somebody does have that negative, and in your mind, you tell yourself, you know what? The reason you don't want to talk to me right now is because there is somebody who does.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find that person. Right?
It's not just those people. You know how they say, you know, if you have one happy person, they might tell a few people. If you have somebody who's unhappy, they tell 100 or everybody they know.
Sure.
So this is
sure
what's happened. I had a fellow who was really interested, and he was doing wholesaling, is still. Now he's actually doing a little flipping too. But he was really interested, but he knows somebody who was aware of this problem. And this was not just, you know, a random ICM or IMA back then. But this was the person who was leading the meetings in our area.
Yeah, that's tough. And that's very tough.
So
probably, honestly, like just from what I'm hearing, I'd probably say find someone else, because someone else is looking. Someone else is looking for you to introduce them to Renatus. What I just shared, the only reason I went for that guy, in fact, those two people that was telling those stories, was because they could afford it, right? They had good money. They had good heads on their shoulders. When they both bought Renatus, they dropped cash, no credit cards, not like literally they had the cash, and they whipped out their debit card and did it.
That's great.
Was the only reason I went for those people and continue to nurture them.
Right.
That's the only reason. If they're not those people, don't waste your time.
Right.
Somebody's looking for you. Right.
I started a new meeting here before COVID, and that person at a Keller Williams. It was. I mean, I'm hoping we can get back there when it's over, because they gave us this gorgeous boardroom with a view of the city and 4 little conference rooms for our breakout meetings. Anyway, this guy wasn't even allowed in the building. That's how bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you can say that. That's something you can say. Oh, well, you know what? That guy's gone. Like, we didn't like him either.
Right.
Or what he was doing. I shouldn't say him. We didn't like what he was doing either. And that person's gone. He was invited to leave because we value our reputation. Yeah. Relationships are more valuable to us than money.
Right.
And so we got rid of that relationship. So cool. Couple of questions here. LaShawn, has anybody ever said to you, boy, you have drank the Kool-Aid. You You can find free information on Google. I love that one. So I forget, they keep changing it on us about sharing income with people, but you know what? I'm just going to share with you guys. So somebody posed the question to me, and so I had to look at it. Usually I don't look at how much I make every month. But in the month of August, I had direct deposited into my bank account over $73,000 for the month of August.
Wow.
Right. And I don't share that to brag. I share this in light of LaShawn. Boy, have you drank the Kool-Aid. You can find this information on Google for free. You find me one person who did not spend one penny on education, mentorship, building relationships. You find me one person that has been investing in real estate for less than 5 years that is making $70,000 a month or has made $70,000 in a month. I will be surprised. Now, when we flip that, you show me somebody who is making or has made over $70,000 in a month, and you trace, you follow the money, you trace their steps. That person invested in mentorship. That person invested in knowledge. That person invested in relationships. That person invested in building their credibility one way or another, right? You guys have heard of the 5 currencies, right? That person invested their time. I promise you that. Whether it was Renatus or some other mentorship, whatever, it doesn't matter. The key is that free information helps you get paid like a freebie. Paid, specialized information from actual CEOs like Brian Sump, like John Dessauer, like Mark Kohler. Paid information will get you paid like, somebody help me with the punchline here. Paid information will help you get paid
Like a CEO.
like a CEO. Yeah, thank you. We must have been on the same, infinite intelligence wavelength there. We answered it.
You also get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. Exactly. So yes, Kim, can't waste your time on negative or toxic people.
Free advice
Earl,
is seldom cheap.
Yeah, thank you, Earl. Results not typical, but we're not typical people, of course, right? And so don't use that information with a chip on your shoulder, as in like, oh, well, I paid for my information, and so I'm bet, No. You tell the story of somebody inspiring that said, here, let me share with you the difference of mentorship. In fact, here, let me give you guys one last little thing. I may have to share my wife and I's conversation next week. This was good. Oh crap, what was it? Oh, here's what mentorship does for people. Because yeah, you could find information for free. Information is free. Yes. Customized, specialized information is not. Okay. So, for example, if somebody has a goal to go and do some real estate, whether they have a goal to do their first real estate or to scale their real estate, doesn't matter. And in order to get to that goal, they're going to have to go through this objection. They're going to have to learn this thing, right? It's all based on their personal experience and their personal knowledge and that kind of stuff. And so they watch some YouTube videos and they go try it and they fail. And so they go through all of these different learning blocks that they bust through and they reach their goal, right? We all know this. Here's what mentorship does. If you have the goal, instead of going through this one, because that was worthless, instead of going through that one and maybe that one and maybe that one, because some people feel like they're working, and nothing's working. And then all of a sudden they get one, and then it's like, oh, that one didn't work. And then, right. And so what mentorship does is say, hey, forget all these other things. I want you to do this. Or let me change colors actually. I want you to do this. 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 And I want you to do this. Right? And now I have to actually shorten this. And you will achieve your goal. If this is valuable to you, then you like mentorship. Right? If this is not valuable to you, then Google, go Google. I have no problem with people saying that they want it to take longer and they want it to cost more money. Because what if this one cost them money? And what if this one cost them money? Ooh, and this one cost them a lot of money. Those mistakes, if you will. It's going to cost money either way. You either spend your money on the front end and you know, it's kind of like a warranty. Some people buy a warranty on a car because they're like, yeah, I know the potential of having to spend a lot of money on the car. I don't want that. And so I'm just going to spend it now. And it's a finite amount, right? I know how much I'm going to spend. This is just, I mean, there's no way you can anticipate that if you go DIY and learn from Google and whatever, you don't even know what to Google. Is usually like 90% of the problem with somebody that says stuff like, or that says stuff like that. Oh, this information's on Google, it's free. Yeah, but you don't know what to Google. You don't even know what to Google in order to learn what you need to learn. But if you get specialized education that is designed to go from point A to point B, and that's what we're selling, and that's valuable to you, then you're going to freaking love Renatus. If this is not valuable to you, then there's no problem with that. People do it every day. This is where you hear all the stories of people losing money and then they make it rich. I never wanted to do that. To me, I was like, no, the idea of losing money, I'm going to freaking buy Renatus because I never want to lose money. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, hope this helps. And we are after the hour. Let's see. Check comments real fast and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead. Whoever
it does. Thank you. It does. Thank you.
A couple weeks ago on Bob Tierney's call, somebody was raving about a follow-up video that you did, and I can't find it. Do you know?
Yeah, I haven't done a follow-up. I have not done a follow-up since probably 2019. I don't know if I have any recorded ones. So I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. They might be talking about my intro.
It was actually an impact that you did. Sorry, I have two phones open here. It was actually an impact. Rick Steiner. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me turn my husband's phone off. It was actually sorry. It was actually a follow-up. It wasn't an actual follow-up, and I wanted to let Nancy know that because she mentioned it a few times on Bob's call. It's actually when you did the training on how you do your follow-up, and I think how you break down your steps on, you know, when you take them through what classes to take. It's one of those that Rick Steiner watched, and he said he went through that training, and that's what he's been utilizing, and it's been working perfectly for him. But it was the training that it was the morning training that you did. So we
was it on a Wednesday or was it for?
Yeah, it would have been a Wednesday morning Elevate training. Yes.
Okay, I think I did find.
Yeah, Keely, do you know how we would find that?
I think I like the one down when I Googled Daine Clark follow. So yes, okay, then that's the one I guess I was looking. I thought it was a follow-up, just a follow-up. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just an actual
So yeah, I
training
probably
on
just
his
talked about
follow-up
it.
process.
Yeah, and maybe I'm due to do it again actually, because
That would
however
be
long ago that was, I guarantee I'm changing it now.